So we're here for our next episode of Ascot Asked, this time with Ollie Sangster. First question for you, Ollie, is how did you get into racing?
Yeah, I suppose how I got into racing is probably the generic answer that you're going to hear from a lot of other trainers. We were lucky to grow up around horses. My mum and dad breed a few horses and have a few brood mares, so they're always mares, foals, yearlings, and obviously I'm in close proximity to the rest of the Manton training yard. Between when I was a young child, it was John Gosden here, and then later Brian. And it was always a kind of, maybe not so much when John was here, but when I was a bit older with Brian, always riding out in the holidays and bits and pieces like that, yeah.
If you could have 3 jockeys from history to ride for your yard, who would you pick?
I'd say I definitely have to go with Leicester, probably. One for the sort of, obviously the sheer brilliance of him, and I suppose two, the association. He rode a lot of good horses for Dad's father. Obviously Frankie's been a great jockey in more recent times. And I think there's a lot of very good jockeys coming through. I think Australian James McDonald's very good. Some good American jockeys around at the moment, and then a lot of the sort of young English guard who I'm not going to kind of hang my hat on one, but you know, there'll be half a dozen of them near the top of the table that I think are all really talented and should have long, successful careers.
You walk into a room and you had a theme song play. What would your theme song be?
Oh geez, what would my theme song be? I don't know. I like the Arctic Monkeys. I'm not sure that's much of a theme song, but they'd be a band I'd enjoy listening to and watching. So maybe one of their songs. I don't know.
What was the moment when you knew you wanted to be a trainer? Like you say, your dad's breed side, your brother's obviously a bloodstock agent, your granddad. I don't know. What made you want to be a trainer? I'm
not so sure. Initially, when I was a kind of young teenager, I thought I was going to ride for a bit, and I rode pretty moderately as an amateur for a few years. And then I was always going to be a bit tall for that. But riding as an amateur, kind of having grown up more from the stud perspective, gave me that real insight into the racing yards. And I kind of enjoyed working with all the lads and the horses and the sort of more quick results that you get in the racing yard as opposed to the stud work, which can take years for kind of things to come to fruition, I think, probably.
Yeah. If you had to pick to win the Gold Cup, Ascot, or the King George, which one are you?
I'd have to say the King George. You know, it's a real sort of obviously the Gold Cup is one of the highlights of Ascot, but the King George is a real sort of midsummer showpiece, and it's one of the first races in the year where you tend to get the 3-year-olds often taking on the older generation, and it's normally a fantastic race. Obviously, it was again this year, and you know, great race, and I'd love to even have something good enough to run in it. You know, what
is something that's quite small but instantly makes your day better?
Dogs. Got a few dogs around the place. I've got 2 of my own dogs, and then there's a dog up here on the yard. So that's always a kind of sort of release at the end of the day, walking the dogs or something. You know, they don't know whether you've won, lost, drawn, and they're just always delighted to see you.
What breeds are there?
I've got 2 Labradors at home, and then the dog in the yard is a breed called a Belgian Malinois, sort of Alsatian-y looking thing. So any trespassers, beware.
I like that answer. So you've worked for some of the best trainers around the world, including Wesley Ward, the O'Briens, and then even down in Australia you've worked for David Hayes.
Yeah.
So you've spent a lot of time in multiple different countries there. Which of the countries that you've been to and worked in has been the best for racing?
I think lots of different things you can take from all of them. I was much younger when I was in Australia, but the industry is so vibrant over there. I'm not going to harp on just about their prize money. You know, that's fantastic, but more from a going racing perspective. You know, when you're at the races, there are loads of young people. Obviously, their racetracks are sort of in the heart of the city a lot of the time, so they attract really big crowds and lots of young people. And it was always a very, very vibrant and happening place. Again, America's a very buoyant industry. That whole Triple Crown series, the mixture of dirt and turf racing is definitely something that you can easily engage on. And then Ireland obviously produces some of the best horses in the world and is a real sort of home of top quality thoroughbred horses. So look, I enjoyed all 3 jurisdictions, and all have plenty of similarities as well as differences. But yeah, look, three fantastic jurisdictions. I was very lucky to sort of get a stint in all of them.
If you could train any horse from history, who would it be? And you can't say Frankel or See the Stars.
Sure, not Frankel or See the Stars. I mean, Galileo was a wonderful horse, and he's obviously gone on to be a brilliant stallion. More recently, Baid was obviously fantastic and very well managed and minded by William and his team up there. I suppose in more recent years he's been a wonderful horse to watch, and first year this year, so looking forward to seeing how well received they are.
Beach holiday or city break?
Beach.
Yeah.
You know, it's busy here the whole time, and so definitely when I do take a break in the autumn, it's nice just to sit down and chill out.
So you've taken over the stables here at Manton House, which a long history with your family. What does that mean to you to train here?
Yeah, it means a lot. Look, I suppose when you're younger and working for other trainers in different outfits, it's hard to perhaps know your future. I obviously trained in America, or worked under Wesley training in America for a couple of years, and I kind of briefly toyed with the idea of starting up over there. The opportunities to start up are definitely a bit more straightforward than here, but I think things didn't happen there, so the opportunity to start here, I mean, we started with just over 20 boxes in the yard I'm in, and we've kind of gradually expanded that, but definitely the opportunity to start here at a facility that's steeped with lots of history is a real privilege for sure.
Which of your horses currently in training do you look forward to seeing race each time, and you say to people, this is the one that's going to be the horse?
Look, I suppose kind of black type and graded races are the ones we all want to try and perform well in. We were lucky at the start of the year to have two fillies come second and third in the English Guineas. So any time I think you're running in a stakes race, or we've been lucky to have a few Group 1 runners, it's definitely slightly nerve-wracking, but definitely the reason you all kind of get up in the morning, and we enjoy watching them. Outside of them, and I think any horse that's really progressing and giving their owners a good time, you know, we've had a really fun progressive handicapper this year called Tuco Salamanca. He's won 5 races and just won two racing league races on the bounce, and he's been a really enjoyable horse to train. A from the fact that he's been progressing and winning races, but B from the fact that he's owned by a really fun and enthusiastic crowd of owners, and so I think sharing success is always enjoyable.
I was going to say, Tuco Salamanca, probably one of my favourite horses to watch this season. Like you say, from the racing league perspective, it was last week at Newcastle, and I watched that race. I thought, that's a horse that, again, where I'm going next season, I feel like it could be. Yeah. He could be.
I think he's going to keep progressing. Yeah, he's only a handy little horse, but he definitely puts it all in, and he's even though he's gone up, I don't think he's gone up 31 pounds or something since the start of the year. I don't think he's stopping. So yeah, he's a fun horse to train, fun horse for his group of owners, and hopefully he can keep going. Yeah.
He's got a great name as well.
Yeah, I know, great name. I'm actually not a Breaking Bad man, but anyway, well named.
Yeah, very good name. If you could pick any other trainer to go on holiday with, who are you picking and where are you going?
Who am I picking? I suppose it's whether I'm wanting to go from a learning perspective and go with a kind of Vincent Lebrun or a Henry Cecil, or someone I'm wanting to go for a bit of crack. Then I suppose I'd pick a friend. You know, yeah. I'm lucky to have plenty of friends training between Newmarket and obviously Joseph and Donica in Ireland. Obviously from an educational perspective, you'd have to go with a kind of Vincent or a Sir Henry or someone like that. And for a bit of crack, it'd be, you know, I'm good friends with James Ferguson, Jack Morland, a few of those, you know, and a few of the other younger trainers.
Yeah. What's a TV show you could watch on repeat?
Well, one I have watched on repeat is definitely The Office. Yeah. Both the English and American version. I don't know which one's better. Ricky Gervais is very good in the English one. Steve Carell's very good in the American one. And I definitely watched Narcos a couple of times as well. Yeah. Anything kind of casual like that where the episodes aren't too long.
Yeah. Are you a texter or do you send voice notes?
Both. Yeah. Voice notes I find obviously only appeared in the last kind of 18 months. Really handy for updates and things. I think we're not really an office that just sends out kind of. Well, obviously we send out emails, but in terms of my thoughts, I'll always send voice notes. I find it's easier to get your thoughts across.
Yeah. What would your specialist subject or mastermind be, and it can't involve horse racing?
Maybe something food-based. Yeah. I like cooking.
Yeah.
I don't know, ingredients, recipes. I don't know. Yeah, that's just sort of one of my kind of downtime hobbies.
What is your favourite part about working in horse racing?
I suppose it brings together from the morning work. It brings together lots of different backgrounds and nationalities, and B from the amount of sort of people you get to deal with. A from the people that we work with every day. Obviously jockeys, owners, different, like I said, different nationalities, and sort of I suppose I've been perhaps an example. I've been lucky to have worked in some different jurisdictions and go abroad and things. It's a wonderful industry where you can get the chance to travel and experience lots of different things. Yeah.
So, last question for you, Ollie, is if this chapter of your life had a title, what would it be and why?
Something to do with learning anyway, or making mistakes.
Yeah.
We're always constantly trying to do the best we can for the horses, for the team, for the owners. But horses will definitely level you, and different things happen every day, and all you can try and do is do right for the horses, really. Yeah.
I think that would be the title you just said there. Horses will definitely level you.
Yeah.
I think that's a good.
Look, you can have high days and winners and success, and the next day you can have setbacks with horses and things like that, and only try and do the best, really.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Cool.
Cheers.